Greetings and welcome back to a supporter stream. Thanks for the patience not being here last week. It was, I had just left the one city. I was, I think I was I in Merced? I can't remember exactly where I was. Didn't have good enough internet to actually stream curiously, but whatever. What do you want? Good internet in big cities? Good luck with that. But we're back down in the desert where we have good internet again. So, that's always fun. Of course, I can't really take much of a walk. If you're following on Matrix, you've gotten some pictures. I got a Cujo situation going on. There's two stray, really big, very aggressive dogs camping right at the campsite next to me. Of course, I'm in California, so do you think I can carry that little nice piece with me? Nope. I'm allowed to keep it in the van. You're not even allowed to carry it outside the vehicle. So technically, to protect myself as I go around my campsite, go out and water the bushes or whatever else I might need to do outside, go around the back of my van. Technically, I'm not allowed to carry it with me. Interesting. Called animal control. File the report. Haven't heard anything. So, if some popo shows up today, hopefully it's just animal control being like, hey, where are the beasts? Stick around to the end of the show. I'll give you guys some photos. But we want to get into our content as usual. We want to talk about protecting FOSS software from big business. And then, guys, make sure we don't close the show without me showing the funny dogs, which, of course, you've already seen. The kitty was keeping the puppies at bay. But I was being able to see Cujo right out the window there, but I don't see him right now. So who knows what's going on? That's great. If anybody has any poll in the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department anywhere, let me know. Make a call for me. Tell them to get Cujo out of here. Anyway, let's go ahead and get on into our topic. So we're talking about Matrix. Matrix, of course, is the open source federated communication platform. We are using Matrix. You can find us on Matrix. So if you want to jump into the Switch to Linux community over there, we have a couple different channels we communicate through. If we're not publicly listed in the directory, you can always go to the website, switchedtolinux.com, go down to the footer, find that element logo that will take you to Matrix. And I use the element logo because there's technically not a logo for Matrix other than Matrix in brackets. Doesn't work well on website logos. So someone needs to tell them that. But hey, the element one does. And so we wanted to talk about this and anything you guys want to say about Matrix or anything before we get into it. And yes, I did unmute everybody. Good.
Actually, I know very little about it other than Element seems to be the parent entity of Matrix.
Correct. Yeah.
I only have two accounts that's on it. I got the Switch to Linux one, and then I got the Peppermint guys, but Peppermint guys have special encrypted channels also on Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
So they can do their development work.
Yep. So, yeah, it's good for communication. It's there's multiple ways to access it. And I just use the Element client, which is the parent company that makes and establishes and contributes 95% of the code, just for simplicity. But you can access it a number of different ways. Anybody else want to jump in before we?
Yeah, just to clear up, there are two versions of the Element client. There is a dedicated web version, and then there is the local desktop version.
Well, there's also apps as well. I have official clients. It's one of the few phones I have. I don't actually have it on my primary phone. I just have it on my backup camera phone. Because if I snap nice pictures, I can just go right on in and upload cool pictures of where I'm at up to there. I was going to go out and take some beautiful pictures this afternoon of... I'm camping on the shores of a lake bed, and a lot of people didn't get the memo of rainstorms coming in. And just an FYI, you don't want to camp in a lake bed when it rains. Yeah. It's about 24 people that I'm not sure they can get out of there. One person did get out. I was surprised she got out. Especially since the photo that I took of her on my other phone today, her van is literally parked on the side, and both roads are nothing but 6 inches of water all the way out to the lake. But she actually got out. Now the water has receded a little bit, but if you're out in the middle of the lake bed, you're probably not getting out. I did go out to try and get some photos with the good phone. I could upload them, and Cujo stepped in my way, and so I had to retreat myself back to the van quite cautiously, and I've been stuck in here ever since. So, yay, Cujo. Right. So point B, how to access Matrix. I hope you guys have other ways. Like I said, I use the Flatpak on my one computer. I think I have a Flatpak on another computer as well. And
I just use the browser version.
Okay, so Dan just uses the browser. Which web browser do you use?
LibreWolf. I do have the Flatpak version, but I don't use it that often because I always got that browser tab open and logged in.
Yep. All right. Anybody else use it any other way?
Yeah, I started off with Element. That's how I got into it and everything for using it for here. And but I switched over to Shildy Chat, which I believe it's a fork of Element, and it's got a little extra functionality, nothing significant or substantial. But I happen to like it. Looks good. It's got a nice little turtle on the system tray. Good. Cute.
Nice. All right. We do have on Odyssey, Instigator says Matrix is a tracking program, really invasive on your hardware. If anybody can get me information about that, or Instigator, if you can as well, let me see that information. And maybe it may or may not make a ton of difference. We'll see. I mean, if you want to build a community, I mean, you can always go Discord. Oh, I'm sorry. Discord nuked us for wrong think.
Discord is going really, really down the drain really fast because they're pushing their nitro and all other kinds of stuff. And they're trying to get me to change my username after I've been using it for 3 or 4 years, and I refuse to do so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If anybody does have information on Matrix being a tracking program, I'd like to dig into that pretty deep. So anything else on how to access? All right. If not, we'll get into the meat of the day. So I first saw this on a TechCrunch article. And so the TechCrunch article talks about decentralized communication protocol Matrix shifts to a less permissive AGPL open source license. So they're basically trying to say other people have been using the code and they released it under a very permissive Apache license. Now, the Apache license allows people to take the code, build on top of it, and then release that software proprietary without giving anything back to the community. And Matrix is like, enough of that. And so they're changing it to the AGPL v3 license, which requires anybody using the code to publish everything under those licenses or reach out to them for a different licensing agreement. Because there might be times, okay, you want to do something with this protocol on a proprietary platform, fine. Pay us or do something internally in the background. That's my reading and understanding. I could be wrong. I think Salbu will probably clear me up if I'm wrong about that. But the goal here is to say anybody using it without contacting them for alternative goals must also release it under a similar license, which means any development on top of it from other people remains free and open source software. Did I have that licensing right, Salbu?
Yeah.
Okay, I did get it right. All right, cool. Salbu is our resident license expert. So he said the reason they did this in the article, first is the cost. It is costing a lot. They contribute 95% of the code. But then what they're seeing happening is a whole lot of businesses are taking the code, all of the work they're doing. They're not donating back to the project. They're not contributing back to the project. They're just taking it and creating proprietary platforms, and it's really hurting their end goal. And so a bunch of businesses are saying, hey, look, an open source program under a license that we don't have to contribute anything back. Well, unless something is specifically released that you have to contribute back, big businesses are not about contributing back to the community by and large, with some exceptions. And this is really what is hurting them and will hurt a lot of FOSS software. And we're seeing this. This is why we're getting a lot of other software that's being used as components. Like one little piece of obscure software managed by one guy. That one guy's software is building up the framework of hundreds and hundreds of proprietary software for gain, and they're not giving anything back. In fact, there was a recent case of that not too long ago. I forget which software it was. I know we covered it on the news.
Yeah, people don't realize with this free and open software, although it says free in front of it, it's not free for the person that's actually developing or the organization, because they have severely, I learned this with the Peppermint people, that they have expenses too. They have a repository they have to pay to keep running. They have websites they got to keep running. They have all kinds of these other expenses that they have to stay on top of. They're not taking the money you donate and having pizza time with it all the time. They have bills to pay to keep the project moving.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked at. I mean, I've considered, and I'm still considering running a PeerTube instance. The problem you have is it costs a lot, and with YouTube doing the things it's doing and being on their shadow ban list, and my view counts are going down, there's not as much money in the background. There was a time I'd make easily $800 a month on this, and I'm down quite a bit. Now, I don't know, there's reasons for that, possibly YouTube reasons, possibly my reasons, I don't know. But the thing is, sometimes running some of the infrastructure costs a lot. I'm paying money to host the Jitsi service that we're using right now to do this stream. I'm paying money to run the restreaming server that we're doing to put this stream on 5 different platforms simultaneously. And so I'm at a net positive. I'm not, I'm at a net positive.
You're paying
for
tools. You're paying for tools to get you to do your work. Just like a mechanic buys his tools to work on cars and get his paycheck.
Cujo and his buddy are coming on over. They're getting super close. Oh boy, Cujo and his buddy are coming over. Great, this is awesome. Now they stopped and staring at the van again. Oh boy.
Maybe you have your very own personal bodyguards.
Got my personal bodyguard.
There you go.
But connections, man. I mean.
And his name is my little friend.
That's right. All right. So now they're out of view of the window, so they're very possibly behind this door, and I don't know about it right now. So I don't know. We'll see.
They want bacon.
So that really is what they had in mind. Here's the official blog post, which is on Element's blog post, not Matrix's blog post. So they're talking about a new home and a license. Now they do talk about under what circumstances does this interfere with you, and most people it will not. It depends on what you're doing. Typically, this is only going to interfere if you're a company using their code and not contributing back. Effectively, that is who's going to be impacted. And they really go through, here's the impact. If you're just using it, Element users and others who don't want to run their own server, no difference at all. If you're running a free, unmodified standing server, so either Synapse or Dendrite, a series of servers, you can self-host a Matrix instance. So if you're doing that, then there is no impact on you either. But if there's, with that being said, if there's other things, going on, you're using it for, you're modifying things and redistributing it, you are going to have a little of impact. And the reason they're doing this is simply to keep the free and open source community alive. So I think the big takeaway here is if you are indeed creating open source software to feed back to the community, releasing it under a license like AGPL v3 is a really good way to do it, to make sure that downstream uses also stay open. Anything else you guys have to say about what's going on?
In case it's not clear, because everyone is not into the licensing and so on. The license change does not affect existing instances or existing code bases that are already based on the previous license that they moved away from. So if you have running some proprietary thing, you don't have to suddenly start changing everything just because they now switch the license. But if you are using the same code base on going forward, then you have to start making maybe you need to start making changes depending on what you are doing with the code.
Yeah.
So the license is not retroactively changed to everything that existed up to the change. So it's
Good to know.
It's going to take some time before everyone starts using the new version.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it will take a little bit of time to transition things over, and yeah that's that.
What about us privates, us just regular Joes that are using it? Are we going to get phased out?
No.
No, it's if you're just having an account over there, it doesn't impact you at all. The only impact is if you're running an instance of the Matrix server on some downstream application. So basic users are not impacted at all. Just big businesses that are not feeding data back.
Yeah, and also it mainly impacts developers who are creating their own thing with the code that is compatible with the existing instances. But everyone just connecting, there's no change of any kind.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone running a server, there is no change for them either, as long as they don't, because if they haven't changed anything, there is nothing for them to start maintaining or replacing. They just have to the new code, the new version comes in, and they just start updating to the new version, and there is no change of any kind. So even if they are selling access to their instance, there is no, they don't have to change anything. The only ones who have to change it is those who are doing development based on the code. Everyone else have no problem of any kind.
Okay, for a recap up onto this point, they actually changed the license. So if somebody wanted to actually use their source code, they either got to purchase some kind of licensing
Just
arrangement
1 second.
with
Keep
them.
going, Dan. I need to check on something outside real quick.
Okay.
And or they can choose to contribute to the project in some way.
Yeah, but they only have to contribute their changes back to their code base.
And the person that obtains a license from them, whether they purchase it or whatever, they have to keep their project open source, right?
Yeah, that depends on who they are giving. If they are doing changes to their own internal and only using it for themselves, they don't have to do anything.
Okay.
But as soon as they give access to others to download on, so if they make a product of some kind, being open source or not, then they have.
It's a bit complicated. That's why I wanted to clear some of this stuff up with our resident license guru here.
Yeah, so if they just take the source code from the Matrix upstream and do some changes, proprietary changes, and then run their own instance, but they don't give the changes to anyone outside of themselves, they don't have to change anything. But as soon as they give other people access, then they have to do some changes. So it's the source code that changes things for. So and anything they do with the source code. But as soon as if they're only doing their own thing, running internally only, access to the employees, say there's no changes of any kind.
Yeah, when I read this story, I read a part in it where there's actually some government entities that also use the service.
Yeah, there's they were very careful not to call anybody out specifically, but
no,
there's governments that are, of course, governments are always looking for ways to save money and do things. But then they mentioned several other companies, and they even said, we reached out to companies, but people didn't really want to work on it, things like that. And so it's, we'll see what happens.
And the main difference between the AGPL from the regular GPL is that they have to have a link to their let's say the state government runs an instance on their servers, and they have the public has access to communicate, and they have internal channels and so on, and it's publicly accessible in some way. They have to have a link somewhere that the user can click on, which downloads the source code that they are deploying with all the changes made.
It's a shame that they have to play like this, to get their credit due. I'm not a big proponent of forking things. I think, if let's take something, let's say LibreOffice. Let's say somebody comes up with a new some new stuff to go to LibreOffice to make it more compatible with Microsoft and give it new features. And they decided to make another thing, let's call it Think Tank Office. And it's got all the new features in it, and I somehow feel like they just stole that from LibreOffice and put their own junk on it and renamed it, rather when they should actually just team up with LibreOffice and help them add them new features into LibreOffice and get some credit and maybe get some money or whatever out of it to make it better.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what the new license does.
Yeah, but this is the normal workflow of all free and open source software, that they contribute back to the original project. But sometimes the original project do not want the changes that they are doing. And then if they want to keep doing the changes, they are forced to make a fork, which is what happened with LibreOffice. They didn't. Something happened with the stewardship of the source code, and they didn't trust the new stewardship of maintaining the project, so they forked it, and they were forced to rename the project. So sometimes forking is necessary.
Yep.
And it's the same with the LibreWolf.
From my standpoint, I think something shouldn't be forked unless somebody doesn't want to maintain it anymore. It's just laying stagnant.
Yeah, which is why there are a lot of forks. So take LibreWolf, for example. It is a fork of Firefox, maybe via some other fork. But because they wanted some specific changes done, and Firefox, the Mozilla organization, don't want to host those changes by themselves. But so they are hosting their own versions of Firefox, and the only change really is the name and a few features that they.
It's like Clementine, and then they forked another thing just like Clementine into Strawberry. They're almost identical programs.
Yes.
I don't understand why they had to, fork it unless the Clementine is actually not maintained anymore, kept up. Unless the Clementine is GTK and K and Strawberry is QT. Don't know.
Well, I mean, LibreWolf, though, does the same thing. Firefox is maintained. LibreWolf bases on it. It just makes the changes that they would like to see, that they could contribute it back to them, but Firefox be like, we don't want that. I think I hear some... there's Cujo. Oh, Cujo's going after some other dogs. Oh, this is going to get exciting. We might see some violence.
Oh, man.
Oh,
Get your money out.
You need a camera dome on top of the van so you can point to it.
Yeah, that would be fun. Because that guy's got 2 other dogs. Now I hear a dog some other direction. This is becoming a dog fest out here.
Yeah. If you're
in a bad neighborhood.
If you point a camera outside, this could very quickly become STL parental guidance edition.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. We're having dog fights. Should we start? No, we don't want to start doing that. We don't want to start.
Yeah, an actual dog fight, which the name came from.
Throw a steak out there. And
you see, this is what's wrong though with a lot of these states. I have 2 aggressive roaming dogs, And I'm not allowed to carry a firearm if I go outside to take a leak. And I've called the authorities.
Call them
Hours
back
ago.
and tell them you need to take a leak.
Yeah. They'd probably be like, "Hey, do your Amazon impression."
I remember reading a story 5-6 years ago. There was someone who was calling the police about something serious that happened, but they didn't have time or didn't have resources and so on. And he was quite annoyed because something was going to happen happen soon. He was sure of it. So he hung up, and then he had so he picked up the phone, called the police again, and reported a possible shooting happening at the same address. And within 2 minutes, 5 police vehicles came around, and he explained what happened, and they were quite annoyed, and they said that, and he got off by exclaiming that it was a serious situation, and he ended up in the paper because it was absurd that he had to fake a violent crime in order to get attention to a serious situation.
That's crazy. I think we've kind of gotten ourselves off of the Matrix thing. I believe we've said about everything we needed to say. So let's go ahead and I'll just show you guys Cujo here. So here you go. Here's Cujo, and then let's see if I can. There you go. There's some close-ups. So they're not too far from me. That's not the van behind you. That's not me. I'm significantly closer than these guys. So if you just walk down this road right here, they are going to come out of they're literally hiding in the weeds. You walk out down there, they're going to come out. Now, right now, they're still standing on the road. But these guys were snapped with my zoom lens.
Are they just running wild?
Yeah. And they're quite aggressive.
I don't even know what kind of dogs they are.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're mutts.
So they weren't here. They weren't here yesterday. So they just showed up today. So I don't know.
Is there do you know if there is a farm somewhere nearby?
Nothing. There's nothing nearby. And they're being territorial of this one spot, which makes me wonder. I'm wondering if somebody came up and abandoned them just like yesterday or today, because there was actually somebody camped right where the dogs are right now.
Well, if you plug them with your thing there, the buzzards will take care of the rest.
Yeah, they will. That is an option. This is why I do wish I had that bow and arrow. Nice and quiet. I don't know what happened, sir. I was cleaning my bow and the arrow slipped. So anyway, let's check in on comments, and then we'll any other stuff we want to do, and then there's the biker with his dog. It's a guy biking with his 2 dogs. And they're all out there playing together. All right, let's go ahead and have a look.
But just a point, just noticed the title of today's episode, Protecting FOSS from Big Business. The best example of why having a restrictive license is important is look at the Linux kernel. It is a GPLv2 only, which is by accident, but that's another story. It is the biggest example of how successful free software can be, and every big business is using it, and they have no problems using it, and they are contributing and abiding by the rules mostly. And so Matrix doing this change is following the same pattern. Because Linux used a freer license, but it was restricted to non-commercial use for the first year, for the first 3 versions, I think. And then he had a friend who was a GNU contributor and was a fan of Stallman's work and so on, and he convinced Torvalds to change the license in 93 or 92.
Yeah.
And here we are.
That's good.
Wow.
Yeah. Classic Rock only says it's a very unfortunate move from Element. I disagree. I think this is a good move. Companies don't have to contribute back anyway. With this change, the difference, they put a new restrictive license on the code, so now companies have to pay for an alt license to make it proprietary. Yeah, and they should. If they're going to take somebody else's work to make a proprietary software, they should have to pay for that. I'm okay with this.
They can pay guys to develop database did the same thing. They had, and they still have to this day, I think, they have 2 licenses that people can use. They have, I think they have a GPL license, or people can pay for the proprietary license, and then they can do what they want with the code. It sounds like Matrix might go down the same path that if big business want to use closed anything, they have to pay a license, maybe a yearly license, I don't know, in order to do this. So there is an example of other projects doing this.
Yeah, Classic Rock says, yeah, they could fork it right now and continue keeping the Apache license, but they lose all future development.
Yeah.
Which may or may not matter to them. I don't know. Nice river background to that one guy in the gray shirt. Yeah. Is that who is that?
If you fork it now, then it presumes that the people that forked it can't be lazy like they are and mooch off the source.
Yeah. Same with good nonprofits may take. Maybe you need a bone for Cujo. That's right. One full of I don't know, something fun. Here, Cujo, this will help you sleep forever. Let's see. I'm out working on a plan to donate to the software you use, free and open source. That's awesome. Very good. Can't afford to donate to all of them at once. So you donate at least donate a little bit to each person yearly if you can. Aren't their websites sell discounted Windows keys? Yeah, and they may be legitimate. Maybe it's mating season for dogs. Oh boy. Heard some less than reputable site reselling some keys over and over again. Yep. First guy who gets it in gets it.
On the Rumble, Uncle Bonhead is wondering if you, by accident, is camping in the Canaan hood.
Well, I don't think so. I mean, I was here for 3 weeks last year and did not encounter any issues. And first 4 days I've been here, I didn't encounter any issues. This is the first time I've had any issues. So I'd like to keep an eye on Cujo. I don't see him now, though.
The longer you stay, the more issues you'll get.
That's fine. I'm only going to be here 2 weeks, so hopefully we will not have more Cujo issues. But I don't know, because one of the reasons I like being here is to walk, because it's a beautiful place to walk. But if I got Cujo barking down my back, I don't know. That may or may not count. All right, over there on Odyssey, wherever in Odyssey this. Let's see, we got 15 watching on the Tubies. We got 12 currently watching on Odyssey. Become a sovereign, you don't have to deal with maritime law. There you go. I'm a sovereign citizen. That might make the channel go viral. I don't know. Let's see. The O in FOSS does stand for open, but yeah, contributions would be nice. Let's see. Bo is less noisy. Now I wish I had that. Spring leaf, spring. Yeah, there you go. Cujo demands meat. Cujo smells kitty treats. Or kitties, or Cujo smells kitties that could be a treat. I don't know.
Oh boy.
Almost like the 3-headed hellhounds. Correct. Who owns Odyssey now? Well, Odyssey and Library are they're two companies from the same general entity. Oh, look at that. There's somebody coming up there with a big old truck right into Cujo's neighborhood. That would be fun. It's good commentary.
maybe,
I should set up a camera out there. You guys can see what's going on outside. I think though what's happening is people are going down the road and then turning around, because once you get about, I'd say, a tenth of a mile further that way, just past Cujo's Den, it just becomes a giant lake because it's all flooded.
Oops.
And we got 10 watching on Rumble. Hello, Jewel. Uncle Bonehead, greetings. Which one of the 6.451 music players are you talking about? Yeah, there you go. Camping in the K-Iron Hood. That's right. Gregor von Gretchen says greetings over on Twitch. And not much going on the Lost Stepchild called D-Live, so of course. Yeah, as a sovereign, you're allowed to carry without question. That's right. That's right. I think his name is Dave.
There is one example of a semi-successful people declaring themselves sovereign. There was I don't remember. He had a title of some sort, and he started to claim two platform and an old World War II gun platform offshore of the United Kingdom. It's known as Sealand today, and they are hosting servers and so on for a fee. And they actually had diplomatic relations with either Germany or the Netherlands due to someone trying to take the fort by force of some kind, and they managed to fight them off. And they captured one of them and hold him in a jail that was part of the fort back in the day. And they had him for maybe a week or two. And then the government, the Dutch or the German government, which tried to launch something, they came with a diplomat negotiating the release of the... so there is a few examples of people doing it successfully, even though they're not recognized as a country by any nation. But they are left alone by the UK, who actually have ownership or have it's part of the United Kingdom, according to every other country in the world. So, and it was for sale for a few years ago, and I think you still can buy it if the right buyer comes along. So you can buy your own country if you want.
Well, you know. Or I could just jump up and be sponsored by what's that land title scam? I was watching a couple videos on it the other day, like, yeah, that's fascinating. Because I always look at that, it's like some bunch of nonsense, you know. So anyway, let's see. Have you ever used Open Video Downloader? App image works well on Debian. Rips entire channel high quality. I've not seen that one. The one I've used, if I want to grab things, is called Clip Grab. Oh, a big RV just went by. He ain't going any further. He'll have to turn around in Cujo's Den. All right. Anyway, yeah, I use Clip Grab, which is also an app image. I've not seen the other one, so I'm going to look into that one as well. Clip Grab used to work with Twitter videos, but Musconiter has got
the one that works the best is the YT-DLP.
Yeah, that's a command line base though. Clip Grab uses Clip Grab uses
just fine.
That.
It's real easy to use. Just use the / and then the YT
but
thing, and then put the address right after it.
If you want a GUI interface that gives you a ton of options, Clip Grab works. It uses the same backend, but you can, in the GUI, you can select exactly which file formats and sizes and things like that. So, I mean, it depends on your preference, but yeah, both are good options.
I just brought that up because I've tried just about all the GUI ones, and sooner or later they become outdated or don't work.
Well, that's because of the constant changes in in the platform. That's why we don't have YouTube DL anymore. They were shut down. YouTube DLP is the new version. All of those backends use the same one. The question is, how is that software keeping that up to date? Because if you're relying on your repository,
right down to the week.
Yeah, but the repository may not download that version as fast. So that's why you look at other software.
You just go to the GitHub or whatever site it is, and you grab the one that's the latest one.
Yeah, I think what Tom's point is that the GUI version have to keep up with the backend.
Right.
Yeah, and some of them do. That's one of the changes that we couldn't talk about on the latest Linux Mint update. Because there's some changes in the dreaded H-word program that causes that to happen in a separate isolated application in and of itself.
So, you know something, these programs that we can't talk about, there's people that have YouTube channels dedicated to totally ripping DVDs and everything else. And, and a few things that you just want to distribute the stuff around your house on a wire, they're all upset about.
And I have completely legal, completely legitimate videos, and I get community strikes for talking about them. And telling people, don't do anything illegal with this software.
The JF one, that one, there's plenty of videos out there.
See, I've not gotten any strikes about that one.
That one must be the best one out of all of them. It does the least.
Yeah, I got the tutorial. I don't know if it does the least.
Plex everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's the dirtiest one of them all.
War Thunder, Night of Light is talking about his distro, which is just an ISO image. I'm not sure why he calls it a DVD, but it's an ISO image for it's designed to be an offline Bible study Linux distribution. DVD is the old school way of saying it, but that's what he's referring to. So, yeah. Let's see. Maritime law is ugly. Yeah, ownership self. This is for America. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I think we're going to wrap this one up here. We'll continue offline here for further discussions. And maybe I don't know if I can get a camera over there. We can see what Cujo's up to. Of course, it's getting dark. And that's all the more frightening. It's getting dark. Cujo's out there. And boy, I might need to have to go water a tree.
Yeah, but before we end, a few times in the past, some of us have talked about what's happening in other parts. I know that Ivan has a few videos about Battlestar Galactica gear and posters and so on. So I'm wondering if you want to talk about what that is all about for those who are interested in this kind of content.
There you go. Yeah.
You know what? Night of Light just gave me a really good idea here. He says I should call nearby Chinese restaurants and let them know in case they want to come out and get them. They might respond faster than the government.
Yeah. Next week's special is about 50 feet behind me.
Yeah, it reminds me of a movie that I watched maybe 15 years ago. It's based on a true story that happened in the 50s, I think. It was when the race issue was a hot potato, and there was some white guy who disappeared. And it was the movie was about the investigation into what happened, and they never did quite find out what happened. But one of the last scenes was about what did happen, because a few people did know, and they had the day after this guy disappeared, they had a barbecue in the street with some fresh meat. They said.
Yeah.
So it happened before.
I was actually at a Chinese restaurant, and the teriyaki chicken sticks next to those, there was one. It literally said cooked meat.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh,
What kind of want to be a little bit more specific here? Little college town too. I wonder if that nearby apartment complex had a lot of missing cats up there. So.
It's more like a sausage on a stick, and you don't know what's in it.
Yeah, there you go. All right,
Yeah.
we're gonna jump off here. Weekly news roundup tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern. So you jump on over there. Weekly news roundup, of course, is a go since we're out here in the desert chilling. So it's a lot, of course, unless I get eaten by Cujo between now and then. So that is a distinct possibility. Assuming Cujo doesn't get me, we will have the weekly news roundup tomorrow. So catch you guys later.